Hi guys, welcome back. It's Dina with Dinner Made Easy with Dina. Today we are going to be doing a Portuguese recipe and it is called bacalhau e gonçá. And I'm sure I butchered that, but it is called, it's a codfish casserole basically. This casserole is very famous in Portugal and you use codfish. In Portugal, they would be using salt cod, but I didn't have any salt cod, so I used regular cod. So basically, I'm using the codfish that was left over from last night's dinner, and I have about a pound and a half. And I'm using a 9 by 11 baking dish, and I just need enough codfish or rockfish or chicken, whichever you choose, to cover the bottom of my dish. And I'm just flaking it together I'm just flaking it into the dish. Now, the fish that I have, we fried it and it is seasoned. If you are using salt cod, you want to make sure not to use a lot of salt. Traditionally, the Portuguese use salt cod, and it takes about 2 to 3 days to leach the salt out of the fish, and you do that by putting the fish in a dish or a pan, and you change the water several times over 2 to 3 days, and it is kept in the refrigerator. Then they boil the fish and they use that fish. Well, we happen to enjoy the fried fish, and we generally will do it that way. My mother in law does use the boiled fish, and it's absolutely delicious too. But this is like a super tasty recipe. It originated with Gomsa family, and this family had dealings with codfish. They were merchants and they were very wealthy, and they started losing their wealth, so their son had to go to work to help support his family. He was from Porto in Portugal, and he did get a job in the downtown area of a restaurant, and he invented this dish. This dish became so popular that it is like one of the number one dishes in Portugal. And for good reason. It's absolutely delicious. So I am going to show you how we're going to pull this together. And I also will have the recipe for you. So I'm going to boil some eggs, and I'm boiling extra eggs because we wanted some extra ones too, but generally use 4 to 6 eggs on the top. So the next thing we're going to do is we are slicing. I have 3 large onions that I sliced kind of thin, and we're going to take those over and put those in a frying pan. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of butter and a third of a cup of olive oil into the pan, and then we're going to place our onions in there. And we want to make sure that those onions cook probably on about a medium heat until they're nice and wilted and cooked down really well. And we will also be stirring in some seasonings into this and making kind of a saucy onion topping for our casserole. And you want to make sure to turn your oven on to 375. You need to preheat the oven. And since I haven't used salt cod, I am going to salt the onions. That also helps break down those onions and get them cooking a little bit faster. And I am going to add a few seasonings to it as well. Yeah, okay, so since the onions are cooked down, I added 2 nice scoops of garlic, and actually there were 2 giant tablespoons, probably a little more like 3. And I used a tablespoon of chili paste. Now you can get this in your grocery store or an Asian market. It doesn't really matter. It just really adds a huge flavor to this dish, brings it up a notch. So you really want to make sure that you add that. It is not super spicy in the dish, but it really adds flavor. So we're going to stir that in. There we go. Get that all stirred in there. Now, when I'm making gomsa, I like to add a few little different things to it. And the Portuguese people do adjust this recipe to the taste that they have. Whatever they enjoy, they add it. Some people add garbanzo beans to this recipe, and some people add white wine, just like me. So I put about 2/3 of a cup no, I'm sorry. I put about 1/3 of a cup of white wine and I stirred it in, and it just adds a little more flavor to it, and I let that alcohol cook out. And then I added some, of course, Lowry seasoning salt. That's just because, well, it's me. And we added some onion powder and some garlic powder. Okay? And then we stir that all in. Next, we're going to go over to the potatoes and we're going to make sure that we slice our potatoes. Now, I have 6 small to medium potatoes. If you're using large ones, probably 4 would be good. And I sliced them about about a 1/4 of an inch thick. And then we're going to parboil those just until they're getting tender. You don't want to overcook them. But this kind of helps speed up the cooking process of the casserole itself. So we're going to cover those with water, get them on the stove, and get those parboiled until they're tender. You can do this part earlier if you choose to, and just let the potatoes cool, it's fine. Okay, so now we're going to take these potatoes, and I like to layer them because I like to make the dish look pretty, but you don't have to layer. You could stir everything together and it would just be wonderful too. Some people also add chopped parsley, fresh parsley, in with the potatoes and the codfish. I usually put mine on at the end. So next we're going to take that onion mixture and we're just going to spoon it right over the top of those potatoes and try to get them, covered as good as you can. I bet you I could have used easily 1 more onion because we love onion, but it also adds so much flavor to this dish. I am not even kidding you. You guys really need to give this a try. Don't be afraid of this dish. It is so good. I've made this for a lot of family and friends, and I'm still getting asked to make it over and over again. So get every drop of that goodness out of there. If it seems like it's a little dry, add some more olive oil to it. It won't hurt a thing, trust me. There we go. So the next thing I do before I put it in the oven is I add the green olives onto the top. I like green olives, so we use green. You can use black, it doesn't matter. There I am again, making them nice, neat rows. So then I'm going to stick that in the oven, and when it comes out 30 minutes later, I'm going to top it with sliced eggs. You can use as many as you want or as little as you want. And then I add fresh parsley to the top of mine just because we like that fresh parsley flavor rather than having it cooked in. But you can do it however you like. We made this and I took it over to my in-laws for dinner and they really enjoyed it. So I'm telling you guys, this is a great recipe. It is just, you got to try it. It's just fantastic. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you listening. Have a great day.